Let's see, I have the Super MobilOil, Brand X oil, the ice.
Okay, Jim, the camera's rolling. You're on.
All right. What we're going to do here is demonstrate some of the unusual properties of a great new product with a distinctive color. Super MobilOil. We've got the number 3 featured here because it plays a key part in our story. Here is an oil which keeps engines clean 3 times longer. As we say, it's an oil with unusual properties, properties which have jaw-breaking names. Words like detergent, dispersant, for example. And yet, even if these things are difficult to pronounce, they aren't at all difficult to understand, and they'll be less difficult for you to explain to your customers because they can be demonstrated graphically and dramatically. Now let's see what's first on the agenda.
How about the mayonnaise, Jim? Can you fix us up with some mayonnaise?
You bet. That's a good way to start. Remember what it was like back in Grandma's day, before supermarkets, when she used to make her own mayonnaise? Well, we're going to try the same thing right here. It's too bad we don't have a grandmother here to help us, but, well, we'll do the best.
Wait a minute, Jim. We were thinking about that earlier, and we went right out and asked a nice little old grandmother to come in and give you a hand. Would you come in, Granny?
Wait a minute. This is no grandmother.
Listen, Jim, you stick to your grandmother, and I'll stick to mine. Now, let's go ahead with the demonstration.
Well, all right. Nice having you here anyway, Granny. Now, one of the most dramatic improvements that Super MobilOil brings to motorists has to do with cold engine, short trip driving. You see, surveys have indicated that 85% of all of our passenger car trips are of less than 14 miles duration. In those 14 miles or less, the engine oil hasn't had the chance to warm up properly, and cold sludge wants to form, which can be murder on the car's engine. Now, I'd like the camera to focus on something I know you'll find of the greatest interest. No, I mean here, down on the table. There. Ever watch a woman make mayonnaise? She takes oil. For her, it's vegetable oil. She takes water. She takes coagulant. She uses egg yolk. She takes acid. She calls it vinegar. And she puts them all together in a bowl. Then she puts the bowl in ice to keep it cool. She picks up an egg beater, and she starts to go to work. And she produces a nice, tasty batch of mayonnaise. Well, what we're doing is a kind of kitchen chemistry. Oil. In this case, Super MobilOil. In this case, Brand X. A shot of water. We could put in 2 shots of water, but this is more than enough for the purposes of the demonstration. Now, let's put in the acid. A product of combustion gases, which also liquefies on the cold cylinder wall and comes down into the crankcase with a blow-by gas. And let's put into the oil the coagulant, which in this case is the sludge-making solids. The road dirt, the combustion soot, and the tetraethyl lead decomposition products that accumulate in the kind of driving that is normal for most drivers on the road today. If this looks like a lot, it is a lot, because this is light, fluffy, sooty carbon. Now, with the help of this kindly old soul on my left, we'll make some mayonnaise for you. You know, if this is a race, I think she's winning. Just to be fair, work around the edges to get all those solids in that mix. Yeah, she's better at this than I am, where I've got a lousy egg beater. This mixture with Brand X represents what happens in cold crankcase operation when practically any conventional premium quality engine oil is used. And I wish I could tell you whose oil brand X is. Nothing like jet black mayonnaise for a different type of salad. Well, let's stop for a second and see what we've got. The real demonstration comes when you pour it out of these mixing bowls. Notice how fluid Super MobilOil is. Lets the light shine through. You can see how the sludge has stayed in the bowl with brand X oil. And you can see that if you use Super MobilOil, you just can't make mayonnaise. Now this is real cold sludge. This is what clogs the oil screen and retards oil circulation. This is what fills up the oil lines to the bearings. It clogs the moving parts and makes them sluggish. This is what really steals power. Now, without these power-robbing deposits, the engine can perform more smoothly, more economically, and consume less fuel. And you realize the tremendous importance of this demonstration when you analyze the kind of driving most of us do. 25% of all the driving we do in this country consists of trips of less than 1.5 miles. In 65% of all of our driving, the trips are less than 6.5 miles. And listen to this, 85% of all our trips are less than 14 miles. And that 14 miles is the magic number below which the engines just don't get warm. And that means cold sludge can form. Now, when the engine gets hot, as on a long weekend drive, the water may dry out, but the rest of the sludge stays behind to bake down on the engine parts. What we have made is just like mayonnaise. The ingredients are oil and water and acid and coagulant in a cool crankcase atmosphere. If we eliminate or neutralize any one of these ingredients, we do not have mayonnaise, nor does it form with warm oil. You see, high-speed driving does not produce mayonnaise sludge because the temperature of the engine is too high. The engine hasn't been invented which doesn't convert gasoline to water when it burns it, water which gets down to the crankcase. So we can't eliminate water. The sooty coagulants that come down are going to continue to come down. And in a cold engine, that leaves us just one thing to work on, the acid. The detergent dispersion abilities of Super MobilOil work to counteract the acid, which produces sludge in cold crankcases. So, there you have it.
Say, Jim, who's that on your right there?
Ah, yes, I'd like to introduce you to one of the stars of the sports world, Wild Pitch Wilkerson, the famous relief pitcher for the Podunk Pirates. I'm sure you've all heard about him because he has an absolutely untarnished record this season. In all the games he pitched, he not only never got anyone out, he never even got one ball safely over the plate for a called strike. And yet, could it be possible that there's another side to his story? You see, when they called him in as relief pitcher, they never gave him any time to warm up. It was always a quick start from the bullpen, out to the mound, then a short trip to the showers. I guess you can't blame old Wild Pitch for being sore. All those quick starts and short trips without warming up can ruin any pitcher's arm. So here's what this all adds up to. Not allowing a pitcher to warm up can ruin his pitching arm. And, before warm-up, a cold engine can suffer serious damage too. But now with new Super MobilOil, this is one problem the motorist can forget about. Well, let's see. We've got another demonstration here to prove how clean Super MobilOil can keep your engine. Over here, we have the new Super MobilOil. We're going to put a measured amount in a jar to simulate the action which takes place in your engine to show that this oil can keep engines clean 3 times longer. In this jar, we have conventional oil. Now, we're going to put 1 scoop of sludge in the oil. In other words, we're going to run both oils 2,000 miles. All right, now the sludge is in the oil. An engine oil has enough body to hold these materials in suspension for a certain period. long enough so that in the amount of time available to us for this demonstration, we wouldn't be able to see the resultant action. So, we merely cut both of them back with kerosene to thin the oil. All we're doing here is just making an event happen faster. We want to be sure they get the same amount of kerosene. Now, the next step is to shake it up. Grandma, could you take care of that one over there? Now, we're going to make sure that we've got all the stuff mixed up good. This typifies the material that comes down from the combustion of the gasoline. It is the solids of combustion, the tetraethyl lead decomposition products, combustion soot if the carburetor isn't operating properly. You see, what we're going to show here is how this new product holds engine contaminants in harmless dispersion because of its dramatic dispersant qualities. I think we start to see light coming through the jar that contains the conventional oil. You'll notice that you can't see it through Super MobilOil. We'll let them stand a few moments longer. You can see the importance of this demonstration. The sludge particles are actually held in fine suspension in this new oil, and that means that they go with the oil when it is drained. With conventional oil, these same sludge particles stay behind in the engine, slowly to accumulate, slowly to build up deposits on the oil screen, to restrict oil flow, to plug oil lines, to cause ring sticking. And deposits of this nature, of course, are power robbers. This, then, is another dramatic proof of this truly revolutionary feature of new Super MobilOil, detergent dispersant action. With this, any accumulated sludge and soot particles come out when the oil is drained. That engine stays clean. Now let's take another look. This time, we're going to put 2 more scoops of sludge in the Super MobilOil. This illustrates running the engine 3 times longer than with a conventional oil, 6,000 miles. Now we're going to let them both stand for 5 minutes. See the light coming through the conventional oil? And no light shows through the Super MobilOil, which still holds all that contaminant in harmless suspension. Now to find out what we've got, we'll turn each jar over. Now comes the payoff. If we drain the conventional oil, this is what is left behind. I'll put that cap there. When we drain Super MobilOil, the cap shows the engine has stayed clean while the oil has taken out the sludge material which is accumulated. As you can see, this could easily represent the parts inside the engine, the vital moving parts that must be kept deposit-free so they'll continue to function as they were intended to function. Notice, too, that around the top of this jar there's nothing, while here the particles remain. In a few moments of this demonstration, while these jars were sitting here, that deposit collected on this one, and it's not going to be knocked off when the engine is running. There's no deposit on this Super MobilOil jar. Super MobilOil keeps engines clean 3 times longer. You know, we may have fooled around a little here, but we're deadly serious when we say that the detergent dispersant action of new Super MobilOil makes it the best motor oil we've ever sold. Thank you.